Hello friends, welcome to the Southern Mountain Kitchen. Today we're going to make collard green soup with ham and beans. So what you see on my counter is what we're going to use to do this. Now mind you, this is going to be the fast version of making this soup because you could actually go to the store and find a bag of lima beans that have not been cooked or collard greens that have not been cooked, or if you had to bake off a ham, you could take a couple hours to make this. Fortunately, I had some leftover ham which I'm going to cut up, but you could also just get ham hocks if you wanted to put in this. As far as the collard greens and the lima beans in a can, they're just what they are. It speeds it up so much more because what I'm going to do here is going to take less than an hour to cook, where in the other case 2 hours takes a long time, and today we don't always have that much time. So we're going to go ahead and work with this. The ham that I have here, I'm going to cut up into cubes, kind of make it smaller pieces, because you're going to have about 2 cups of ham out of this. And that's really a good thing because it's going to help stretch the soup and make it even more. So if you were kind of like doing this on a budget and you were trying to feed a bunch of people, this works because this soup, you could have so many people eating a bowl of soup out of this. And all you had to do is add some bread or something else with it. And it's a quick lunch if you were just trying to throw that out for a crowd to eat. Because once you get this set up, it's not like you have to put a lot more with it, and it isn't going to cost all that much to make. So we're going to get a ham completely cut up, make sure that there are no huge hunks. We just want to kind of cut down to where it's marginal. We can actually work with the pieces of ham. And then we're going to go to either a large pot or a Dutch oven, and we're going to put about 2 tablespoons of olive oil into it because we want to coat the bottom of it. And we're going to bring this up to medium-high heat because we're going to put in 1 medium onion that's been cut up. And we want to actually bring the temperature up on this to where we're going to cook this onion to a point where it's not only going to get translucent, but we kind of want it to start to turn brown a little around the edges because that caramelization effect is just going to give such a taste to this soup. It's going to help add to it. So when you have your onion into the pot or your Dutch oven or whatever, you want to make sure that all the pieces have broken up because when you cut an onion, sometimes they stick together. So that's why when I cook, I go through with my onion when it's in the pot cooking and just make sure it's broken up so that way it cooks all the way through, because nobody wants to bite into an onion that is not completely cooked, and it's just not going to taste very good. So we want to go ahead and get this all done and actually get this onion cooked. Now this is going to take anywhere from 4 to 5 minutes to get the onion to the point that we want to get it to. So get it in there, let it cook a little, move it around, keep going. The oil is going to work to your benefit because it's going to help it go a lot faster. But again, you need this at least medium to high heat to get this accomplished. So every little bit here, like 30-40 seconds, stir it up a little bit. So when we get to the point that our onions are browning around the edges, we're going to add in 1 tablespoon of minced garlic into the pot. And then we're going to mix this around because we want this to actually start to cook along with the onions. So you're going to leave this in for at least a minute. And it's going to get really fragrant, and then you're going to know that it's to a point where you pretty much have gotten it where you need it to be. And then after that, we're going to add our ham to the pot. So once you get everything all mixed up here and you've hit the minute marker, go ahead and bring the ham into it because the ham is going to cook for at least 5 minutes because we need this to actually warm up, because the ham, if it's something you have from leftovers, it's not going to be hot yet. You just cut it up and set it to the side. So now we want to get some heat onto this. So we're going to go ahead and mix this through, and we want to actually get everything going here between the onions, the garlic, the ham, the olive oil, and we're going to stir this periodically because once the ham is sitting in there, it's going to start to heat up, and you want to make sure that all the sides of it get heated long before we add anything else to the soup, because we really want to make sure that it really is heated, everything is ready to go. You don't have something cold in there with other things going in with it that's already hot. You want to heat it all up. So continue to stir this. We're going to do this like for about 5 minutes of flipping that ham around. And then once you know that it's hot, we'll move on to the next step. So as you can see with mine, everything is cooking together in the pot, and it's actually doing really well, because if you see that your ham is starting to take on a little bit of a coloring from where it's heating, where it's sitting on the bottom, that's just perfect. That's exactly what you wanted to do, because it's just going to add to the taste because you're actually cooking the onions and everything into the flavor of the ham, and that's a perfect mix. So again, continue to stir it, make sure that it heats up properly, and then after we get this up to a temperature we want it to be at, we're going to add some chicken broth to this. And that's going to be the beginning of adding our soup into this. So make sure that you're looking down, that your stuff is simmering in the bottom of the pot before you add anything to it. And then we are going to add at least 6 cups of chicken broth. And then, you know, if you can put it in there without measuring, that's fine. But basically, those smaller containers of chicken broth that you get, there's about 4 cups in one of those things. So you need like 1.5 of these to make sure that you get enough in there to do what you want to do. Now, mind you, we are going to add 2 cups of water after this. If you wanted to go straight on out and just do 8 cups of chicken broth, that's all on you. But I'm doing 6 cups of chicken broth and 2 cups of water. So that way it's just a good even mix, because I don't want to overpower the ham or anything else that's going in here with a chicken flavor. So I just kind of like, you know, balance that a little bit. So as you're adding this in, just, you know, be aware of how much you're putting into it. Make sure that, at least if you're doing the version I'm doing, 6 cups of chicken broth, 2 cups of water, you'll be perfectly fine. We want to get all of this liquid into the pot before we add anything else to it, because afterwards we're going to add some seasoning. But we just want to make sure everything is in there before we get to that point. So as you can see, I've already covered everything in the pot with just the chicken broth alone. So the water is just going to bring it up higher to make sure that there's plenty of room in here when we add the beans and the collard greens to it, for them to have enough room to be under the water. So we are adding to this 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of pepper, and then we're going to stir it up, because we want to make sure that all of the seasoning starts to mix through with everything else that got put in there between the chicken broth and the water. And then after we do this, we're going to cook this for at least 30 minutes, because we want to actually get the temperature of everything in there up, and cover it with a lid, because that's what I did. It just makes it easier to do this. And once you check on it afterwards, we're going to add in our lima beans, and we're using 2 cans of lima beans, which are 15.2 ounce cans. You can find these in most any store, and remarkably, they're really cheap. They really don't cost that much, because I was amazed, you know, for the 2 cans I've made to pay like $2. Then I'm adding some hot pepper to this. Now, you don't have to use this if you don't want to. I used about 4 slices of that, and then I'm adding about a teaspoon of hot sauce to it, because I want to bring the flavor of this up. And these are just going to give it a little bit of heat. When you go to eat it, it's going to kind of like push the flavor over the top. So go ahead and stir that up a little bit. And then we're going to put the lid back on and cook for at least 15 minutes, because we want to give a chance for everything we just put in there to totally incorporate into what was already there. So have that lid on until you get to the 15-minute marker, take it off, and then we're going to be ready for our collard greens. Now, for the collard greens I'm using, I had a can that's 27 ounces. And that's a lot of collard greens, but the good thing is they're already cooked, so you don't even have to worry about that. And they actually seasoned them a little bit in the can, so that makes it even better. And then beyond the collard greens, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of vinegar to this, which again is going to give it a kick. So once we get this all in, you know, basically you can stir it up, put the lid back on, and we're going to let this cook for another 10 minutes. And then you're literally going to be ready to eat, because then you're ready for this to be out on the table. You could actually go ahead and serve this with bread or whatever you want to add to it, and you've got your meal ready to go, because it's really that simple. There's not much more to doing this, and everything is there and ready to roll. But the best thing about this is the taste of this. It's just so amazing, because you don't really think about how good this can taste. But this is what mine looked like when it was done, and I loved it. It was so great, because I ate on this for a couple of days with me and my family. You would love this. It's just a great taste. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe. And if you get a chance, check out my cookbooks, which are available in bookstores worldwide. The first is all about everyday cooking. The second is all about baking. Have a great day.